Good morning. Good morning. It is early where I am. It is 5 a.m. So happy Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, Wealthy Wednesday. We have all these different phrases for the days of the week. For me, I love to say Wealthy Wednesday and not wealth like you would spell it, but WELL hyphen THY. So I think we should all be well first and foremost, and then we can be wealthy, right? So whatever that means to you, whether it's your mindset, uh, financial, physically, all these things really help with us having a better disposition, right? In order for us to tackle the challenges that lie within each of our lives. So, good morning again. I am Lachelle, also known as America's Supermom, and I have 15 children. And my platform is all about mental wellness, but I'm also a chaos crusher. I work with professionals to help them navigate through the everyday chaos and transform it into clarity and confidence with a smile. So, what does confidence with a smile mean? Well, smile actually was something I came up with during the pandemic. Now, I think we all are told to smile for the camera and be happy and excited, when things are good. And for me, that was something that was kind of very monumental with me on a daily basis as I was struggling through depression in my own life. So didn't even know I was depressed. That's a whole nother story. But it was always behind a smile. People really didn't think anything was going on. I was smiling, didn't really think anything was going on. So that's a whole nother topic. But SMILE is actually an acronym for 5 pillars that I really contemplated during the pandemic because we had all this talk about, oh my goodness, social distancing, the kids not interacting with each other. It's really going to be a hard time recovering from this pandemic and all the other problems that they foresaw as a result of the pandemic. I just thought, why aren't we doing something to be proactive about this? And so that is when I came up with the acronym for SMILE. So as I really pondered and reflected on my own life and my own journey through depression, I came up with these 5 pillars that I believe are important for us to check in with daily. So, the first one is sleep, right? How much sleep are you getting? Just in my own journey, I realized that I was only sleeping like maybe, I don't know, 4 to 5 hours a night on a regular basis. So, I think we can all manage a night or two of not getting enough sleep, but over an extended period of time, it can be detrimental to your mindset, to your health, because we're not designed to be what I call in my own journey as survival mode. I was living in survival mode for so long that it just seemed natural to me. It's no different than I found my glasses, y'all, right? It's no different than going to the eye doctor thinking you can see. You get some glasses and you can see clearly. Now, so for those of you who didn't see me yesterday, I was like, I cannot find my glasses. And they were right in my office. Where did they go? I looked all over for them. So the key to finding things is asking the right person. So we have 10 kids still at home. So I felt that I asked everybody. One of them I didn't ask. They were like, oh, your glasses are right here in the fireplace room. Now, I don't know how they got there. That's a whole nother story. But, you want to ask the right person things in order for you to get it done. And I think that's important because, just tying this all together as business owners, a lot of times we ask advice from people who are not experts, right? That's like me going to a cardiologist when I really need to go to a dentist, right? The cardiologist is an expert, okay? An expert in the heart, but if I need someone to tell me about my teeth, I need to go to a dentist, right? Or orthodontist, whatever the case may be. So the point is, a lot of times we want to feel good or we want people to agree with us. This is my story. This may not even be you guys' story, but you want people to agree with you, and they may not be knowledgeable in what it is that you need or be able to tell you what you really need to hear, right? To avoid some pain in the long run. So at first it might seem like, oh my gosh, this is, the best thing. And you find somebody who is really telling you the wrong thing, setting you off on a different path. And so we can't blame people. That's another thing. We have to hold ourselves accountable so that we make sure that we can move forward and not give our power away. So, all that to say, today is one of my children's birthday, and her name is Alexandria. She's 27 today. So, as I thought about this, I thought, you know what? I am just going to take a few moments to talk about her because this actual segment is about collections and connections. So, collections are related to books, y'all. So, I have books here. All of these books you can find in my Amazon store. Okay. Some of them I'm not even sure if I put them in there yet. But if you go to my Amazon store, you'll be able to find these books because you could just put in whatever book you want. If you need some glasses, like the ones I mentioned, right? You can get them off of Amazon. If you need anything, you can just get it off Amazon, but you could just go through my store for that. Well, anyway, today's her 27th birthday. So I am going to highlight her with the video that she created for me. She has her own YouTube channel. She's working on building that, and she is playing this great um, birthday weekend with some of her siblings and friends. So they're excited about that. So today is Alexandria Day. So here we go.
So it's Mother's Day. I just want to come on here to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom. I love you so much. I appreciate all you've done. I appreciate all the siblings you've given me and all the sacrifices you made as my mom. I really don't know what I would do without you. I'm super grateful and super blessed to call you my mom and to be able to experience life with you still by my side and to be able to call you whenever I need you and know that you're going to be there for me. So I love you, mommy. I hope this was the best Mother's Day ever. And I wish that you have many, many more. Love you.
All right. So that was Alexandria. So, what's monumental about Alexandria? I always think about my kids and I go back to, how was I when I had them? What was the lesson that I learned? All these different things. So, I have a few things about Alexandria that some people may not know. So, the first thing is I was 25 when I had Alexandria. So now I'm 52. She's 27. Is that just crazy? At that time, she was number 5 with the kids. So she was my third child. And at this point, I already had 2 stepchildren. So, and we were having visitation back and forth with my oldest child, which was my stepchild. So we were doing this thing, trading off holidays and every other weekend, that type of thing. So that's what I was faced with that. Um, the one thing that really stands out for me is faith with Alexandria. So yesterday I started off with a quote, and today I'm going to start off with one, and I just think it's so appropriate for today. So the quote for today is actually a scripture. And it says, so then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. This is, it says Romans 10:17, King James Version. Okay. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. So the thing about faith with her is she was born after my first miscarriage. So I had my son. and I got pregnant right away after having him. And my third child was supposed to be born like a week before his first birthday or something. It was, really quick. And was so sick with this baby. I mean, I couldn't even drink water. Everything made me sick. I mean, I was motion sickness, just everything. And so I went for my first doctor's appointment where I was getting the ultrasound. And so every day, I mean, my husband was trying everything, every little wise tale about drink this, do this, eat these, and crackers, and all this other kind of stuff. I mean, kiwi, you name it. We were trying it all. Nothing worked. So, anyway, um, my first appointment that I was supposed to go to the doctor to get the ultrasound, that day I just woke up and I was just not sick at all. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is really, it really stood out to me that I was just not sick at all. So I get to the doctor and they say, well, do you have anybody with you? And I'm like, no, my husband's at work. And they said, okay, well, we're going to have you go in here with the doctor because they did the ultrasound and everything. So first, let me back up. When I go in there, they do the little thing where they listen to the baby's heartbeat. So they're trying to listen to the baby's heartbeat. They're moving it around and they're like, well, you are kind of still early on. So nothing to be alarmed about. We're going to give you an ultrasound. So they go and give me an ultrasound. And the technician just says, are you here by yourself? And I'm like, yeah, so she says, okay. So she takes me back in there with the doctor. So the doctor has to tell me that the baby has been miscarried. So the baby was it was close to term. So like, I think I don't know, 10, 12 weeks or something. The baby was measuring that. So it was something that happened recently. They're like, based on the fluids and all this other stuff, this is something that has just happened. So that morning when I got up, I mean, I wasn't sick, anything, nothing was going on. So I had to make the hard decision on if I was going to let nature take its course and it was going to be a natural process because the baby was still in my stomach, if it was going to come out on its own or if I was going to have surgery, something they call a DNC. So I was just really torn up about it. It's like, do these doctors know what they're talking about? Really went into this whole thing about it, was devastated. So I finally made the decision to go ahead and have the DNC. So I went in, had that done. And they put me on birth control pills. And they're like, okay, we're going to put you on birth control pills because you really shouldn't have another child until your body has had time to heal. It's kind of like a actual birth, and this happened, you just got pregnant with the last one, so I'm on birth control pills and everything. Well, long story short, I get pregnant on birth control pills with my daughter Alexandria. So really nervous, didn't want to tell anybody. This is like our third child and we're going to end up having 15, but anyway. um so I get pregnant with her and just nervous about everything. And so many things were around her birth that really gave me peace of mind. So, um, if you're someone who is well versed in the scripture, I don't want to say well versed, but one of the symbolic numbers about the number seven is completion in the Bible. And so there were so many sevens around her birth. So I was really nervous about it up until the time, but she was born on June 7th. She was born 7 days early because she was actually due on the 14th. Um, the delivery was 7 hours and she was 7 pounds, 7 ounces. And she was born, they call it with the veil on. So what that means is my water never broke and she actually was born in the sack. So it's called being born with the veil on. Some we never had, but um, so that's the blessing around her. But also, that was the when she was born, my husband was called to the ministry, and that was the last year that we had a Christmas tree because we were called to the ministry, and based on our faith, just what God was putting on our hearts at that time, that you guys can study the Christmas tree. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but in our case, that was the last year we had a Christmas tree. So that was 27 years ago. But so that's the great things around her. Also, she was the first child that I completely breastfed all the way through. My first two kids, I tried for like one was a week, the other one was like 9 days. But I had a friend who actually, ironically, we had the same birthday. And she was nursing her children as well. And she was like, well, I'm just going to tell you about this nursing. You need to stick with it for at least 2 weeks, and then it's going to be like nothing. So I just said, okay. So I would be really reading the Bible, praying every time I had to nurse her, and just hate it when people would wake her up because, it seems like when you're nursing babies, that's all they want to do is eat. If they're awake, they just want to eat. And so, my toes would curl up. It would hurt so bad for her to nurse. And I just said, okay, I'm going to just pray this through. So, this is really where a lot of my spiritual growth started happening with her, because I lasted those 2 weeks and then the rest was history. And I just made it through with the rest of my kids, nursing them. And it was just really the best thing. It was like night and day after that 2 weeks. And I'm so glad that I had a friend who took the time to really say, hey, it takes 2 weeks, because, when we're working on things, we want it to happen overnight. And if it doesn't happen overnight, we begin to internalize and say, what's wrong with me? Why is this not working? I'm just not cut out for this, or whatever the case is. And so it's the same in business, right? You are a beginner, but you are measuring yourself off of an expert. So they've been doing it for years or whatever, but you think that you can do it in 2 weeks. And then you just give up after 2 weeks, when it takes some time in order for you to develop and master a lot of these skills. So, that is my tribute to my daughter, Alexandria. She does have a YouTube channel, so I'm going to put that YouTube channel. She loves everything makeup and hair. So she is the stylist when it comes to a lot of hairstyles for the kids. She went to beauty school, and although that's not what she's doing full time, that is something that she's passionate about. And she also does makeup. So she is the one who, whenever there's a formal event, whether it's prom or um, they're going for photo shoots, all this kind of stuff, she is doing that for everybody. So happy birthday, Alexandria. All right, so we're going to take another trip down memory lane. This book, Are You My Mother? Heiress to Me Mama, right? Now, I'm not sure if I said this but correctly, but this is a bilingual book. Now, this book, a lot of people are thinking, Are You My Mother? This looks very elementary. And it does, because this is the first book that I learned to read ever. Okay, so I was in daycare, preschool, and I remember my mom came to pick me up from work, and this was the book that I was reading. And so it's in Spanish. Now, for those of you who know me, I am really passionate about learning Spanish. I did take Spanish in high school. I tested out of one semester in college, but it's like anything else. If you don't use it, you can lose it, especially another language, because I never was really what I would call fluent with it. It's like you can talk in the classroom. The minute you get out of the classroom, it's like, you don't even know what you're talking about, right? But can understand a lot of things, right? I can just say, ask people to slow down and I can kind of make out some of the words that they're saying, because I have had that exposure. But I'm just really passionate about learning it because I believe that um, a lot of Hispanic women, we struggle with the same things when it comes to being a mom, being in business, and things like that. And the language barrier is what really keeps us separated. And so I believe if I'm able to speak the language, I can make a better connection. So I'm just going to read. I just think this is so, I'm so excited that I was able to find this book because to me, it gives me the space to say, okay, this was my first book I read in English, and I can also learn it for the first time in Spanish. So I'm going to go to page 10 and 11 because, I'm just going to read a little bit out of here. So it says, "Where is my mother?" He said. "Donde está mi mamá?" Pregunto. He looked for her. La busco. Okay. So, Are You My Mother? This book you can get on Amazon, and it's by P.D. Eastman. Now, and if you have grandchildren or maybe yourself, you want to learn Spanish, I love it because it's bilingual, right? So this is a great book that you might want to pick up. The next one is Permission Marketing: Turning Strangers into Friends and Friends into Customers by Seth Godin. Okay. So it says internet marketing pioneer Seth Godin says he wants to change the way almost everything is marketed today. Will you give him permission to show you the future? Now, I haven't read this book, but I have read The Purple Cow by Seth because, see, I'm a book collector. So I got this book and it's like, oh my gosh, this sounds so good. I'm all about marketing, right? And understanding, hearing different philosophies. I mean, I just love learning. So I haven't read this yet. Okay. But it looks like it has a long introduction. So I'm going to tell you about introductions. I used to be like, oh, forwards, introductions. Let's just skip over that, get right to the meat of the matter. But there is so much interesting things in the introduction. It really is like if you go to a play, right? And they talk about scene one, scene two, whatever. It's all about setting the scene when you have the forward and introduction. So I challenge you to think about not just skipping over the introduction. It's there for a reason. I mean, when you're writing a book, you do not want to just be writing and writing and writing. You really want to get that done. So I don't think you're just going to spend that time writing stuff if it's really not important. So that's something that is, I think, is really um, powerful to remember is that everything is in there for a reason. All right. So I'm going to go to page 48. And this is saying 5 steps to dating your customer. Now, this is good because a lot of us go right to pitching. I see it a lot on my LinkedIn, right? I have even seen it on Facebook. I'll do a video or have a post, and somebody will just say, "Hey, I hope you don't mind. I would like to be your friend and connect with you," on the post. This is on Facebook. And so, I don't know what that's about. But then on LinkedIn, that I will get these messages, where they're relating to, I don't know, let's just say medical transcription. And I'm not even in that field, right? So it's just some blanket message that doesn't even apply to me. It's like they didn't even look at my profile. Okay, so when we think about how we connect with people, because that's part of this show, collections and connections, right? Is how can we connect with people in a way that's appropriate? So he says 5 steps to dating your customer. Offer the prospect an incentive to volunteer. Use Using the attention offered by the prospect, offer a curriculum over time teaching the consumer about your product or service. Okay, so that's a good one, because a lot of times when we think about our product, we think it's the best thing since sliced bread, right? So if I wrote this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the best book, it's bilingual, you need it. Everybody needs to speak two languages, right? It just has this energy that it's just like, I don't know. I feel like I don't have a choice. I don't feel like I'm in power. I feel like, I don't know, am I being manipulated or something? But if I just share, I just want to broaden my audience. Not only do I want my book in English, but I would like it in Spanish too. And I just feel like this can really help people connect better because, if a book is bilingual, it gives you the opportunity to appeal to a larger audience because it gives you a connection point. I'm just using that as an example. The energy is a lot different. So you can educate them on what are some collaborations that you have witnessed with people who speak different languages, right? So you might do this around the language of German or the language of Portuguese or uh, Japanese or Chinese, some other language outside of Spanish, if that's the book that I want to sell, right? That I could start introducing them to the value of speaking another language, but it might not necessarily be with my product, but I'm educating them. So hopefully that makes sense. The third thing is reinforce the incentive to guarantee that the prospect maintains the permission. Okay. So, permission is really authority, right? That they have the authority to be the decision maker. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, I don't want to be salesy. To me, interchange that word with manipulate. I don't want to manipulate people, but people like to buy. So if you're adding value or offering value to them on something that they believe is going to benefit them, then they're going to purchase it, right? It's just making sure that we're able to highlight that value because a lot of times we get caught up in maybe a quota, what it is that we want to do, that we're not focused on the consumer and what they need. Because, I could say, well, I think you should buy this book, but then I find out that they really need to buy three other books that aren't even related to that topic. But it takes me getting to know them and making sure that they feel comfortable enough to express how they're feeling, they're thinking about certain things so that I can put them in front of the right product. So the fourth thing, offer additional incentives to get even more permission from the consumer. So this is kind of like the bonuses. Oh, in addition to this book, because it's bilingual, let me reach over here. You can get these Spanish flashcards. Okay. I'm just using that as an example. So, you can start upselling and layering things with the people to help them make a better decision or make the decision you want. Over time, leverage the permission to change consumer behavior towards profits. So this is like, um, I'm so glad that you purchased this book and these cards. We are also going to offer monthly Zoom calls in Spanish. So you can come and, ask all the questions you would like or practice, with our experts in the language. We would love for you to join us once a month for that. Okay. So that would be an example of leveraging the permission to change their behavior towards profits because you're getting even more buy-in from them. So that's on page 48 of permission marketing. So listening to some of those things. And I have like 1 minute to go. The last one is John C. Maxwell. What successful people know about leadership. And I think I underlined this first thing. The main thing that I have found with leadership is starting with yourself. Self leadership comes first. It makes every other kind of leadership possible. It's where personal credibility is established. This is at the beginning. How to lead yourself is the first thing about being a successful leader. Now, this is his philosophy. I just happen to agree with that as well. Um, that's another thing. And this is something else I'm just going to leave you guys with. Whenever I listen and learn different things, or I just have this aha, the first thing I want to do is write it down. I love taking notes. I have pens everywhere, guys, and paper. But you want to make sure that you put a question mark at the end of it. I've even gotten some great quotes like this morning I was doing my email and there was this quote that said, every moment is a new beginning, right? And so, or a fresh beginning or something like that. Make sure you drink water too. I'm moving that over. But anyway, so if let's just take that quote, every moment is a new beginning. Okay. So I would write that down and I'd be like, wow, that is profound. But now what I do is I write every moment is a new beginning, question mark. Is that true? Is that someone's opinion, right? Because, we have to be careful with some of the things that we hear because it sounds like it's factual, right? When things come up and they resonate with me, I'm like, okay, why does that resonate with me? What am I learning from this? Right? I really like to dive deep into that. If you don't do that, a lot of times you can start having these limiting beliefs. Now, this is to me, I think a positive statement is every moment is a new beginning. However, let's say it was something else that could be potentially a limiting belief. So sometimes we can take on somebody else's ideas, their beliefs, as if they're our own, and realize that it doesn't serve us. So whenever you hear something that's really kind of profound, it's like, oh my gosh, make sure you put a question mark behind it first. And then reflect on what does that mean to you? We can come up with our own version and what's going to serve us to help us moving forward. So think about, how does this apply to me? What is this saying to me? Because a lot of times it's somebody else's opinion, but do we resonate with that opinion? If we do, why? So that we can have a deeper understanding before we just start adopting things to be factual and true. So I hope that makes sense. Well, again, the books were What Successful People Know About Leadership, Permission Marketing by Seth Godin, and Are You My Mother, the bilingual edition. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Have an amazing, wealthy Wednesday, and make sure that you drink lots of water to keep yourself in a good space. So, and last but not least, remember to smile. So, have an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Bye for now.